Hi, this is Henk, and welcome to another edition of the Skull Sessions. And today, my guest is Jennifer Shaw. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, what you got going on, Jennifer?
Thank you for having me here. It's fun. I love talking about my passion, so thank you so much for having me here today.
Yeah, no problem. That's what we're all about. So, what you have like a book out right now, and you're promoting that?
Yeah, I have a series that I've written. It's the Callum Walker series, and I just published June 1st, I published my fourth book in the series. And it's kind of gaining some momentum now, so it's not yet in the stores, but it's on available online so far. It'll be in stores eventually, but it kind of continues my protagonist's journey into danger, trying to right wrongs that they feel responsible for, even though they're not. But at the same time, they're learning to trust and heal from traumas that my character has suffered.
Is this like a futuristic thing? Is it like a past, like fantasy, sci-fi? What's going on with
Yeah, so
it?
my series is a magic fantasy. It's got lots of action adventure, some supernatural suspense kind of all sprinkled in for good measure. I get bored easily, so I like lots of things going on. But the gist of my series is that there's our world, our time, coexisting magical realm, but there's a veil that separates us. And we can't see or cross this veil because we don't have magic. But these creatures that do can and have, and they've been the source of our fairy tales and mythologies. And then my main character, whose name is Callum Walker, he's a young man born with the ability to use magic. He doesn't know why, he's trying to make the most of it. And there's a story that goes along with that, but we don't learn about it right away. He crosses this veil and becomes embroiled in what's going on in this magical realm. And we see him trying to figure out who he is, where he fits in, because he's too magic for here, but too human for there, and then master these abilities to survive this world is very much over his head.
Would you say it's like kind of like similar in a way to like The Witcher? I'm not saying it's a knockoff, but I'm just saying like the same vibe as The Witcher.
There's some elements that are very dark. My magical realm is very lacking in technology because they have magic. Why would they need computers and such, or cars if they can use magic to get around? But there's a lot of dark elements, a lot of emotional trauma that my character has to suffer through. But there's also dangers, and not every being in the magical realm is good and kind. There's a lot of very unsavory and nefarious characters there too.
So is it a multi-part series, like several books involved, and you tell the tale over the books?
Yeah, kind of. We're following him through the series. I've published my first four books. I'm working on my fifth. I've plotted for my sixth. I know where the series is going to end. I just don't know how many books it's going to really take me to get there. I'm aiming for between six and nine, but I keep coming up with ideas. So
Okay. Are
yeah,
they? Is each one like kind of an individual read, or is like each one like depending on the last one to like
I
kind of
do.
make sense of what's going on?
Yeah, I do try to bring elements forward from the previous books if they pertain to the events in question, like the events that are happening in each novel. There's just only so much I can bring forward, so that you do miss a little bit of the backstory. You know that there's something that happened ahead, so I do try to make it so you can enjoy each book for its story's sake and stuff. But there is some past things that have happened that would give you more insight.
Okay, and what are you thinking when the whole thing's done? It'll be like a full story. It'll like it'll it'll encapsulate the entire saga.
Mhm. Yeah, well, I mean, we'll follow it right to the end. And then I do know how it's going to end. And I just have to get there. And I'm building up to that. Every book gets a little darker, a little more, diving more into the dark fantasy, more threats and more dangers ever present. And I'm following my character in that direction.
Okay, is it kind of like so? There's one character, this protagonist. Is that correct? And it's like he's basically around in a major presence to the entire series.
Yeah, it's his journey.
Okay, and does he age significantly during the journey?
He ages, but not significantly. The series happens over a span of a few years, and he starts his journey. He's in his early 20s, and he finishes it before he reaches his 30s.
Okay, and do you have all sorts of magical creatures or wizards or kingdoms or like how's the world composed?
Yeah, so the every being in the magical realm, I call them realm-borns. There's elves, there's fairies, there's dwarves, there's ogres, centaurs. There's different, kind of countries of them. Like there's the centaurs in the north, they're along the northern kingdom, but then there's also centaurs in other areas. For example, we meet in the second book, and they have some differences as well, but they still share they all share a political system, a religious system, a tradition, culture. So it
So
motivates.
they all share that, even though they're slightly different.
All the different races have their own things, but say if you had a band of centaurs here and you have another band of centaurs here, they're going to share the same political and religious systems, but they may have slightly different cultures if they're far enough apart. They may have different traditions that have developed just because of separation and isolation.
Okay, so that's interesting. So basically, in a way, they kind of share a mindset on like a god and like a kind of like a ideal political structure, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I like that idea of having them have a motivation, and what motivates people is the way they're raised, the way they believe, the way they live. They're all those things. So in order to create different motivations for each of my characters, they have to come from somewhere, right?
And do you have like kind of like in Lord of the Rings or something where it's like each one is his individual kingdom? Like you have the kingdom man, the kingdom of elfish people, the kingdom of dwarves, so on.
Yes, they do. There is some, like we have people from other countries living in our country and becoming residents of our country and stuff like that. So the elves are big players, and they have so there's the Northern Kingdom, which is where Callum, my protagonist, spends the majority of his time. It's predominantly elven territory, but they have other, like fairies live there. They have a parcel of land they don't own.
So they kind of divided kind of like countries will have like you might have somebody who's Arab, you might have somebody who's Indian, you might have so it's kind of like that. Like you have like specific like areas, and they might have a very diverse population. There
It's
might
more
be like a few elves, a few dwarves, a few
Yeah.
humans.
They have their own like little pockets of territory. So there's the Elven territory, and next to that would be the Dwarven territory. North of that is the Centaurs, and then closer to this Vale, there's a pocket of land that they've set aside for the fairies.
But they intermingle?
These beings do, but
Okay.
then there's other beings like the ogres. They're nomads. They have no land. They kind of wander and they cause problems all over the place. But then there's things like trolls, and there's also south of the Northern Kingdom, of the elves, we learn about the Ironlands, which is where the Daguerrean, which is the Southern elves, they live there, and they've kind of set up their own place and their own country and they've branched significantly from their northern brothers.
Okay, so there are people that kind of like they're isolated and they like to stay isolated. There are people that kind of like more like the Mongols, like they just go, everywhere.
Yeah.
So there's a whole diverse array.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and each book, roughly how long is it? Like, roughly what's the word count? What's the page count?
Somewhere between 400 and 500 pages, somewhere around there.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you have six out now, and you have nine plans. Is that what you said?
I have four out.
Okay,
I'm aiming for between 6 and 9 to be published to the end of the series.
okay. And right now, are they available on print and demand and Kindle, just Kindle? What do you have going on with that?
Yeah, they're available. You can find them through links on my website at jmshawauthor.com. They're available on Amazon as a print on demand. They're also on Kindle. The first two books right now are on Kobo and Barnes and Noble as ebooks, but the other ones will eventually be there as well.
Okay. So, do you have plans for like an audiobook or a hardcover release or like a compilation of everything?
Audiobook, yes, I'm looking into that. I've had a lot of people making requests for audiobooks, so I'm looking into creating an audiobook. As far as hardcovers, unless they open up printers in Canada, it's crazy expensive.
Is
So
that where you are? You're located in Canada?
yes, yeah. So in order for me to get hardcover copies of my book, I have to order them from a printer in the US, ship them to somebody who lives in the US, and then have them ship them to me privately. And the cost would just be astronomical. So unless they open up printers for hardcover books in Canada, it's just not going to
Yeah,
happen yet.
I know you can in the US, like through Kindle, but I don't know how it works in Canada.
Yeah.
But perhaps it's different there. I know they give the option. You can release it in paperback, you can release it in Kindle, hardcover, whatever. But
Yes.
is that not a thing in Canada?
Kindle's online, so it's no printing needed. And same thing with Kobo. For paperback, they opened up printers. Otherwise, I had to do the same thing with paperbacks, and it was crazy expensive to ship them to somebody I knew in the U.S. and then have them paid to ship it to me, and then me pay them back. And but then they opened up a printer in Ontario, and I think there's one in Manitoba. So they print them here now. When I order them as an author through my Amazon account, they will print them in Canada and ship them to me. So all I pay is that delivery and that printing.
Okay. And were you going with more of like a first person, a third person? You know, was it like present tense, past tense? Like, how did you approach this?
So I write from third person. That allows me to kind of jump outside my character's head and kind of look around a little bit more. I can also shift point of views to other people's point of view in other chapters. If I'm writing from I said, I did, first person perspective, I can't do that. I have to stay in my character's head, and all we know is what the character knows.
Right.
But by doing third person, I can see from other people's point of views what's happening in the background that we will know as a reader, but my character might not know. So it kind of, and then I'm also writing instead of past tense, I'm writing present tense as if it's happening now. There's more immediacy. So
Right.
instead of like he said or she said, it's he says he is
Right.
doing it right now, or she is doing this right now, or she says, those kind of things. So
I feel like first person I remember when it used to be hugely looked down on, and now a lot of people do it. But I feel like it's kind of like the shaky cam movie
yeah.
of novels. It's like it could be great, it could be horrible.
Yes. So like first person is just very restrictive because you're stuck. I described it. I did a presentation for grade 5 class, and I said it's like if you picture your reader as a tiny little ant-man, and in first person perspective, he's stuck inside your head, and you cannot see or hear or feel anything beyond what the character is feeling. With third person perspective, Ant-Man can live inside the character's head, but they can also come out and look around and see things as well.
Well, I think it also kind of depends on the story you're telling, the length of the story, like what's involved. So there's
Yeah.
some stories like there are stories that I've written that I started in first person. Then I was like, no, I should make it third person. Then I was like, that didn't really encapsulate the story. But that also works better for a short story. It's like hard to stick in somebody's head for the entire novel unless it's somebody that you like.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And you can't see anything from any other person's point of view. It's just more difficult. I mean, I've tried in the past because I've been writing for 35 years, so I tried myself to write first person point of view, and it's just not for me. Some people like it, some people don't, and that's fine. We all write differently, and we
But
should embrace the way that we write.
Well, I think one thing that's kind of clever is sometimes people will mix it up a little bit. Like it'll be like, from one person's perspective, then it'll be a new chapter, will be a different person's perspective. So
Yeah.
it's like, it's not quite like single dimension first person. It is first person, but it's like multi-dimensional, multi-character first person.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen that too. And I don't know, other people might like it. I'm not a big fan of it. I find it very jarring when we start another chapter and we're talking still first person, but oh, wait a minute, this is first person from a different person. So just for me it's a little jarring. I do get into it, but I find it jarring to read. I find it jarring to write. Other people may like it, and that's fine. There's an audience for everything, so
Right. Well, it also depends on how well you craft it. Like, it's not just technique; it's also the story you use it with.
yes, exactly. And how you've done it, how you've written it.
Yeah.
I'm saying even present tense, writing present tense versus past tense. It is difficult to do it correctly, but once you are able to do it correctly, then it's very difficult to shift back to writing past tense.
Well, the worst is when people like intermingle the two; they don't even pay attention. They're
Yes.
like, obviously you do not care. It reads very sloppy to me.
Yeah, yeah.
So, do you have any plans for like any sort of like a movie or like a TV show or like graphic novel or something? Like some people plan out a book and like, I would love to make a graphic novel. I just have to find an artist. So
I
I'm
would
just
love.
wondering if you have a plan to do something like that.
Yeah, oh, I would love to see my book in like as a TV show or as a movie. I have no connections as far as making that happen, but
Maybe
in all
Netflix will come with that big fat check, and then yeah,
yeah, well, they come knocking on my door. I might suspect, is this a scam? First,
yeah.
my first thought, but
Well,
then
it's possible. You know, there's a huge scam. I get this as an artist all the time, where like
yes,
people want to hire you for an art contract, and they're like, "Yeah, I want you to draw this," and then they're like, "We're going to send you a check," and
yeah,
they send you the check, and it does cash, but then they'll say, "Oh, you have to give me part of it to like pay for supplies, or like we overpaid you." Like they have all sorts of excuses. So then you pay them and then the check that cash, all of a sudden the bank rejects it, and now you're
yeah,
out like several grand because you like pay them half of it or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
That's an ongoing scam. I've been dealt with that like 20 times.
Oh yeah, I think that's been going on for as 10, 20, almost 20 years now. I think I've seen variations or heard of variations of it for the past like 15, 20 years.
Yeah,
But with e-transfers and stuff, it's becoming a bit more. I guess you guys don't do e-transfers in the US. You do Venmo?
we do Venmo, we do Zelle, and we do like PayPal. Usually,
Mm.
I mean, if it comes through on like Zelle or PayPal or Venmo, it's pretty secure because once it comes through, it comes through.
Yeah. So we have something called email transfers where, we send the money to your bank and we send it to you as an email and then you open up your banking app and put it into your account and stuff like that. And I know that there's been some scams with that as well. So they're recommending not taking email transfers from people you don't know. But there are a lot of, it sucks because there are a lot of honest people out there too. So, and it's hard to know. I usually transfer things if I'm not sure because I get a lot of people saying that they wanted to help me with marketing or the visibility of
Yeah.
my website, and I'm just like,
Marketers like cockroaches. Like I get bombarded. I don't know about you, but I get bombarded with them like 10 times a week. Like a new marketer is trying to like, I'm an expert bookmarker. I'm like, and always my criteria. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. Either make me a promise, and once that's fulfilled, I'll pay you, or you can take half or whatever. Like if it's a certain number of sales, I'll give you a cut from that.
yeah,
Or let me know campaigns for books similar to mine.
yes,
And that never happens.
yeah,
I'll say because I do cosmic sci-fi, and like cosmic horror, and they'll send me like a romance book. I'm like, dude, that not
yeah.
even
It's like
close.
not
Yeah,
even genre. Yeah, I know. I get I'll get the ones that and it's sometimes they're very obvious where you'll get the ones that's like, oh hey, I come across your book. And I really enjoyed it. Like, well, especially with my fourth book, and I was playing a lot. I was just laughing at some of them and like, oh yeah, I come across your fourth book. It sounds amazing. I loved it. Do you want me to, would you like me to help you promote it and stuff like that? And I'm like, first thing, my fourth book has not yet come out yet. So how are you reading it? And secondly, but I don't say that. I just, kind of, oh, well, what were you thinking? And they'll be like, oh, well, we could do this, and it'll cost you this, and this, and how do I find your book? And I'm like, wait a minute. Two things. One, my book hasn't come out. How did you read it? Two, if you came across my book, how come you can no longer, how come all of a sudden you don't know where it is and you can't find it? So I like to play with mind games.
yeah. I think there are a couple keys. Like one's when they go, "Hey, author Dan Henk." I'm like, nobody calls me author Dan Henk. Just talk to me like a normal person.
Yes.
And then when they go, "Yeah, I'm amazed by your book cover, such creativity." I'm like, dude, shut up. you know,
Yeah.
but yeah, or when they go, yeah, do you have a link to your books? Like, wait, you're trying to promote my stuff and you don't even know what it is?
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. I know I know this is a little off topic, but we get a lot of prank calls for like air duct cleaning. I don't know if they do that in the US a lot,
Yeah.
but it's a known scam, and I get them sometimes 2, 3 times a day, and I just got tired of just hanging up on them or saying, "Don't call me," because they keep calling you. But the one time I'm like, you know what, I'm going to mess with this guy because I'm the oldest of 5 kids, so I'm very good at messing with younger people. Like my younger brothers, I was very good at practical jokes. I don't do this just
You
to
grew
mess
up doing that, yeah.
with calling me so
I'm a
often,
younger
but
brother. I know what you're talking about.
I'm an
Yeah.
older sister. I'm going to do the sister mentality. So I let them go through their spiel. And then they were like, well, do you want to tell us how many ducks you have in your house? And I said, no, I won't do that. But how about you give me your name, number, and phone number, and I can, report you to the Better Business Bureau for harassment, because, you've been calling me all day. I can report you for harassment. No, you can't do that. I said, I most certainly can. I've already reported so the RCMP is our, like, I guess the equivalent of our sort of like our FBI,
Right.
reported and stuff like that to the RCMP, and they're like, your harassment. I'm like, okay, first of all, I can't be a verb, and you called me.
Well, we have something in the U.S. called it's a no call list, and like people will call me up, and I'm like, I have you on no call list. This is a violation. And they immediately hang up. Yeah.
Yeah, we have something similar, but it doesn't work as well because what they do is they spoof phone numbers. So
Oh,
when you
they
get
still call. I'm just saying we
yeah,
put them on the list so I can just threaten them with a lawsuit, and they immediately
oh
hang
yeah,
up.
yeah. Well, they're not even in our country. They're in another country calling. They
Probably, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we have a huge last thing I'll say about scams because we want to talk about you, not scams. But we have this huge scam where people will always say, like, oh, you didn't pay this traffic ticket, or you didn't. And the thing is, like, so my area code is not where I live now. So I
yeah,
know when they say that, so I live in New York. I lived for a little while in Texas, and I just kept the number because everyone knows that number. So I'll get all this stuff that say, according to the Texas Department of, I'm like, a scam.
exactly. Yeah, we get the Canada Revenue Agency calling, and that they're going to send the police to us to arrest us and stuff like that because we paid taxes. Unfortunately, people do fall for it, and
Yeah.
that's so sad. But yeah, there's just it's inevitable. So I just make it a rule and my response to anybody is that if you're trying to sell me something or get me to buy something or hire a service, I do not do that to people.
And
I
you're
do not
probably full of
hire, buy, or give
it.
information to anybody who randomly contacts me through social media. So,
So, all right, so let's get back to your book for a minute. We can talk about scammers, I'm sure, in quite a while. Although, one funny thing I'll say, it came out a long time ago, but they have a guy that he would mess with scammers. So they'd
yeah.
call him with prank calls, and he would just mess with them and mess with them. Sometimes they'd hang up, and sometimes they'd just keep going because they're like too dumb to get these messing with them. But it was hysterical.
I know. I used to watch some of those YouTube videos, and that's my mindset: is if they're on the phone with me, they're not on the phone with somebody else trying to scam
Right.
them. You know?
That's true. Yeah. No, but he had one where he's like, and they're like, "Are you all right?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm just taking a shit." Like, "Oh, do you want me to call back?" You're like, "No, this is good." Just keep
Yeah.
going.
Or the one who was
Hysterical.
pretending to like he changed his voice and he's like a grandmother and stuff, and he starts talking about grandchildren and these young whippersnappers and stuff like that. I can't even remember the words that were used. I just remember.
Young whippersnapper. That's the
I'm
old school
old.
term.
Yeah, yeah, that was a thing when I was a kid. Apparently, I was at one point a young whippersnapper.
Well, like we could go on this for quite a while. I won't, but we could. But like, there's all this stuff that I'm like amazed people have never heard of or seen before, like stick shifts in cars, like rotary phones,
Yep.
like you bring up stuff like that. They're like, what?
Yeah, or the windows that you have to like turn the knob to get it to roll
Yeah,
down.
yes, yeah. I still have that. I have an old truck, but yeah.
I was giving a presentation to a grade 5 class, and I was
Uh-huh.
telling them when I started, I was, very young. I needed an outlet, and my mom bought me a typewriter, and my writing sort of became a hobby, and then a
You
passion.
remember when people had typewriters? People don't
Yes,
even
and
have typewriters anymore,
the
but
question
yeah.
that they asked at the end was, "What's a typewriter?" And I'm like, "Really? That's what you got?" Yeah,
That's
mine was standard.
amazing, yeah.
Plug it in. It had a whiteout strip. It was really cool. I was like,
Well, I'm pretty sure that nobody will ever steal my truck because I have like a manual transmission, so I'm
"Yep,
sure they won't even know how to drive
uh,
it.
yes,
So
Gen Xers, we will."
yeah, exactly. So all right, so getting back to your books, do Do you have a website? Do you have a way to promote this?
Yeah, my website is jmshawauthor.com, and I have all my books listed. You can find links to them online. You can read about them. I have an events page that'll tell you where I'm going to be for book signings. Unfortunately, most of those are in Alberta because that's where I live. But I also have on the bottom, I have links to my Facebook, my Instagram. There's also a Goodreads link, and an email.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to Toronto and Quebec. And that's it.
Toronto and Quebec, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, most people think of Canada, they think of Toronto or Vancouver.
Well, I've been to
Alberta,
Toronto a bunch of times.
yeah.
In Toronto, I've never been in the winter, which I hear is like really harsh, but I've been in the summer and I'm like, it's kind of like I live in New York, so I'm like, it's like a cleaner, friendlier New York.
I don't know about friendlier, although I'm from, like Alberta it may as well be its own country. Every province is slightly different. When we get further west we go, the more different it becomes. But even in Alberta, our capital of Alberta is Edmonton, and where I live closer to Calgary. And anybody in Calgary will be like, "Oh, where are you from? Edmonton? I came from Edmonton." Oh, sorry. But I thought, yes, there is some difference. You feel different. I always say that in Edmonton, they'll run you off the road before they let you in, or they'll let you in and then try to run you off the road. Whereas in Calgary, they'll let you in and then they'll tailgate you the entire time. But they'll wave at you, they'll wave like, "Okay, yeah, you can come in. Oh, thank you." And then they'll try to, like bump you down the highway.
That sounds annoying.
Yeah,
But
yeah. But it's different cities, even it's different mentalities too.
yeah, no, that's weird to hear. Like, I think a lot of people think like they have a stereotypical image of what an American is like. It's like it depends on where you are in America. Like
Yeah.
New York City is way different than like Dallas, Texas.
Yes, yes. My husband and I had the fortune of traveling last summer to we hadn't gone on a honeymoon, but we went to it was our first trip after having kids. We went to San Francisco, and I was just like, this is just like Alberta. Very similar. People are kind, and I was like, oh, well, seems like Alberta.
Well, the thing is too, it's like for instance, I went to Amsterdam and I remember I was like there. I was like, I don't know if you've ever been to Amsterdam, but they have like you can get these rowboats to go up and down the canals.
Nice.
So I went on one of those and like the guys, there were a couple of like teenagers that ran the rowboats. Well, they're you pedal them like a bike, but it's like But anyways, so I'm trying to talk with them. I mean, the English wasn't great, but they were friendly. And then the stereotype of what people think Americans all look like come by, and they're like fat, and they're wearing like white shirts, and they're like sunburned, and they
Oh,
come
so they were
in.
trying to imitate.
And they came in and like the in a very thick Southern accent. The lady's like, how much?" And like at the time
Oh,
they had guilders instead of euros, so they were like 15 guilders. And then she's like, "Oh, that's too much. That's too much." And they're just like,
I think it
you
is
know,
dollars.
yeah, and so then like the fat Americans go out and they're walking up the street, still complaining about it the entire way up the street. I'm like, that's what people think we all are, but
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah. Well, I have to say that a lot of people think of Alberta as the Texas of Canada. We have right now going on, I don't know, a lot of people have heard of it because it's pretty renowned, but right now they've got the Calgary Stampede going on right now. And it's a big rodeo event, happens every July. I avoid it like the plague because it's just a lot of overpriced, lots of noise and stuff. But I'm very introverted, so I don't like those kind of things. But a lot of people come from other countries going to the Calgary Stampede and see the chuck wagon races and all the other things that go on with that. I have to learn. I learn about it after the fact because I don't ever go.
I don't know, to each their own, but that's totally not my thing. But
Yeah.
all right, so going back to your book, so the best way to contact you is your website. Do you have anything like stickers or like discounts or everyone has different things. Like some people have like bookmarks, some people have plushies.
Oh, I don't sell products. Except for I just sell my books and I sell them mostly the prints are through Amazon. Otherwise it's ebooks through Kindle, Kobo and Barnes and Noble. But my books are stocked in some of the Indigo and Chapters locations in Alberta, and hopefully they'll be entering the stores across Canada eventually.
Okay, would the best way to get you to sign a book be for them to come to a convention you attend?
I'm looking into options of doing that because I've had some people reach out to me from other provinces and even in the US reaching out to me to get a signed copy of my book. And mostly I just attend book signings and I'll sign them while I'm there in person for anybody who buys them. But I have had enough requests from people outside of my driving zone, and I'm looking into seeing how I can do that. It's just at this point, it's not financially feasible for people to get a copy of the signed book unless they find me at a book signing.
Okay. Do you have any coming up? Do you have any plans?
Yeah, I've got a book signing coming up this weekend in Calgary. My events page on my website will show you where it is.
Well, unfortunately, just for the audience, by the time I post this, that will have already passed, unfortunately.
Yes. But my events page has all my scheduled things for this year. So
okay, awesome.
So yeah, it's I update it every few months as things get booked and stuff, but that'll tell you where I'm going to be. You can also follow me on my Instagram and my Facebook, and the links are on the bottom of my website to see where I'm going to be and what I'm doing, because I'm also writing other books, so you can see kind of what I'm up to.
Are they along the fantasy lines?
No, I'm working currently on a future dystopian Robin Hood meets Romeo and Juliet with hints of Hunger Games. So
awesome. Yeah.
I'm also toying with the idea of like a War of the Worlds, Body Snatchers, Back to the Future trio kind of combo. So that's
I kind of like, I read Hunger Games and I liked it, but I didn't like the young adult, which I always feel like, not always, but often I feel like young adult books are talking down to me. And I remember I talked to Jeff Strand, and he said, well, the way I approach it is I write it from the perspective of young people, but I don't like simplify things. I just talk the way a young person would talk. I was like, and that I like that much better. But yeah, Hunger Games, I felt like they were talking down to me kind of the whole time. I mean, not to mention the whole concept is kind of a ripoff of a Japanese movie. But, we won't even go there. But, it's like, it's a cool idea. I just wish I hadn't done young adult.
Yeah, and I do tend, like my series that I've written, my Callum Walker series, which is my fantasy series, it's sort of a young adult, new adult. So like I say teens and 20s, but I've had everybody from my 8-year-old son up to octogenarians. And it just depends on, I mean, everybody does it differently. Like not every young adult book is talking down to people.
Right.
And it just depends on what you're into, because I mean, I'm not a middle grade student, but I loved Harry Potter. And
right. That's why I brought up the Jeff Strand thing. So like you can write the material and it won't be condescending. It's like it kind of depends on the way that it's written.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you're right. There are some books where it's like, it's dumbed down, for a lack of a better term, to appeal to a certain age group. And or it feels a little oversimplified. Yeah, exactly. And I tend to write I think one of the reasons why it fits into the young adult and new adult crossover for this genre, or for this novel series that I've written, is because I don't have any sex scenes in there. I have a couple swear words here and there, so it wouldn't qualify as a middle grade. But I do deal with a lot of adult content, and I write as if I'm talking to somebody at my level.
Let me make one quick note. So, like, if you watch, have you watched Game of Thrones?
I love Game of Thrones. Yes.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, but like the stuff will happen in Game of Thrones, and then all of a sudden there'll be like something like the Red Wedding, where you're like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah.
But I remember a lot of stuff. I remember a lot of stuff back in the day, like when they intersperse like a sex scene or a violent scene or whatever. It's like shocking because it doesn't happen the whole time, and then all of a sudden, like page 50, you're like, "Holy shit! Where did that come from?" And now it seems like some people they do it all the time, and you get numb, and you're like, "Yeah, all right, whatever."
Yeah, exactly. They do that for exactly that reason, to shock their audience and create an emotional response.
Right. Well, it is great. And like all the classics, they do that, but like they also have like an ebb and flow. It's not like just like always bombarding you with stuff.
Oh, I know. It's like you're afraid to watch the next episode because you're like, what is going on? I do remember watching The Red Wedding, and I called my friend and I was like, because I borrowed the DVD from her, and I was like, does everybody die in this episode? Like,
Yeah,
what the?
I always tell people until that last season, that was the best thing on TV. I wish
Yeah,
they would refilm that last season.
yeah. I know. I didn't watch the last season. Yeah, I only watched. I
You
didn't watch
probably
that.
did yourself a favor because,
Yeah.
like there were a couple things that they built up the entire series, like the wall, and then
Mhm.
they resolved it in one episode. And like,
Yeah.
I don't want to give you any spoilers because you haven't watched it, but it's like it's not a good wrap up. You're like,
Well, I saw the
really?
spoiler. Yeah, I saw the spoilers. I heard about it, and I'm glad I didn't invest in because it didn't fit with the books. As it
Yeah.
didn't, I mean, a lot of things didn't make sense. Like,
Well, they even talked to George R. R. Martin, and he
yeah,
said he would not have ended it that way. And
mm,
what I heard is, I don't know if this is 100% true, but I heard the writers for Game of Thrones, they got the contract for the new Star Wars trilogy. So they just
mm,
kind of wanted to be done with Game of Thrones, like get out of the way. And you can kind of tell they just kind of like, boom, 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 all right, done.
yeah,
And then because it was so bad and they were so critically panned, they lost Star Wars.
yeah, exactly. It's changed. It's nothing like it's the whole atmosphere and mood of it has changed. It's more like a sitcom now.
Yeah.
They did the same
What,
thing
you
with
mean Star Wars?
yeah, Star Trek as well. It
Yeah,
turned more of a sitcom, or not a
like
sitcom, but I like a soap opera. Soap opera.
back in the day, Star Wars blew my mind. It's like
Yeah.
now it's like, dude, what are they going to fit in this time? Because it's going to have nothing to do with anything. Like when they had horses racing on the side of like a spaceship. I was like, dude, come on.
Yeah.
But that's another thing I could go off on all day. How much they've ruined, Star Wars. But anyways, all right.
But
So
ask, sorry, I'm going to ask: are you a Star Wars or a Star Trek fan?
I like Star Wars better. I think like there are some Star Trek that really pops out, like the Wrath of Khan was awesome.
Yes.
But Star Trek is very hit or miss. I kind of like the whole like space saga thing. Like I love
Mhm.
like my favorite book is like Dune. Like I
Yeah.
love that whole like like a whole thing going on. It's a whole universe, not just like the Earth.
Yeah. Exactly. No, I like aspects of the whole like the rebels, the fighting against the big guys in the
Right.
theme, like the hero's journey kind of theme for the Star Wars. But I like the idea of the political systems, and all of these aliens have their own political systems and stuff. And
No,
in
that's the best part of Star Wars. Like you have the Klingons, and that's the best part. The part where it's like just like humanity exploring space. Like,
yeah,
well, what
yeah,
are
they
you
had to add
doing with it? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I do
Uh,
like the exploration factor though. That is kind of cool.
have you seen The Expanse?
I haven't seen anything since I think Voyager and Deep Space Nine were the last series that I watched.
This is not Star Trek. It's like it was a series on Amazon called The
Oh,
Expanse. It's
okay,
done now. It was like I think 4 seasons, but it's
okay.
like they had like a group discussion. There was Michio Kaku, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and Lawrence Krauss, and they said that is the most realistic space thing we've ever seen.
Okay, I'll have to check it
And
out.
it involves like Earth is like colonized Mars, and they've colonized the asteroid belt, and like
Mhm.
it's in the future, so they've all formed like separate like kind of kingdoms. Like there's like the nation of Mars, the nation of the asteroid belt, the nation. So it is good.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, I'll have to check that out. I don't watch a lot of television just because I'm a busy mom and I tend to write more than I read. And although I've doing book signings and events and talking to other readers and stuff, my to be read list has grown so much that I've had to buy 3 bookcases.
Oh, same here. I have like a whole bookshelf of books I need to get to that I can't.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's a different topic. All right, so last thing, I asked people to compare that stuff to something. I'm not saying it's a ripoff of that, but like if you like this, you'll also like my stuff.
Well, I tell people that okay, so I'm a big fan of the Supernatural TV series. I like that adventure aspect, going out there and seeing what's there. I like the world building aspects that we have in like the Lord of the Rings trilogies and stuff like that, those kind of science things. I like the political aspect that is presented in Game of Thrones. To say that my stuff is a lot like there is resemblant of one particular thing would be an injustice because it's got little elements from everywhere. My inspiration for my character came from my interest in the Arthurian Merlin tales and what a young Merlin in our modern time would be before he became Merlin the magician and like learned all these powers and stuff. So, he had to start somewhere kind of thing. So that's one of them. I'm a big fan of Dean Koontz. I grew up reading a lot of his speculative fictions and stuff. And I like a lot of the Stephen King books. I like Margaret Atwood. I like the fact that they cross genres and they combine things and they're willing to ask like what ifs and tackle things that are not necessarily socially correct kind of things, like they're tackling taboo issues.
It's funny how much that changed over time.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember like in the 80s and 90s when I was in high school, it's like, there's this big stigma against being gay. Now nobody cares.
Yes, yeah, and it's just part of life now. It just feels like it's just everywhere. So,
well, something like like just to go on a rant real quick, just scientifically, like 40% of sheep are gay. It's just a natural thing,
Yeah, they say 10% of the majority of species out there have homosexual tendencies.
Right.
It's there. It's that, it's you either live with it or you avoid it. I don't know. Like everybody just has to learn to be themselves.
People have all sorts of things in their head, but I'm like, science is science. Yeah, it's what you got to go. Look, this is the real world. So, All right. Side note, but all right. So, do you have anything else you want to throw there to the cosmic social sphere?
Just follow me along if you want to know what I'm doing and where I'm going, and just you can find the links on my website. And if you do get my book and you read it, don't forget to review it because otherwise nobody else will know us.
Oh yeah, reviews are very important for authors. Like even bad reviews, like up the algorithm.
Yeah. I think
it's a good review, like a 5-star review, but like even bad reviews up the algorithm. And you go, there are always people out there that are like Karens. They're like they hate everything. They're like, I didn't like that you did this and it. And you're like, all right, shut up. Everyone else loved it.
I know. I read my reviews too, and I think I got one that said like there was a 2-star review says I would have given it a 3 or a 3.5 for the writing, but they didn't like it because they thought my character was a loser. Yeah. And I'm like, that's more of an opinion, and that's nothing. I can't do a change or it's not constructive. But if somebody says, oh, I found that there was an error or a typo in this chapter. Right. And change that, or if they felt that they had a hard time getting into this one chapter or something like that, and that they felt that the dialogue was unnatural, okay, I can work on that, those specifics. Yeah.
I remember I did an anthology and I quoted Rod Serling, from Twilight Zone, and I missed what is Rod Sterling instead of Serling, and he went off 1-star review, like tagged me everywhere. So I was like, well, that's embarrassing. I'll change it, but you should give me 1-star. So I changed it, and then he's like, edited the review. So I'm like, dude, you're just being fucking Karen. How about just tell me?
Yeah, it wasn't a slight. I know. I have dyslexia. I also have autism and ADHD, but I have dyslexia too. So I miss some letters. I miss those little words, and sometimes my vowel teams are kind of mixed up, and the words are spelt wrong. And word processor, because I was using Word, their spell checker is not helpful because I had my character go out to assess the situation. I missed one of the S's at the end, and it was still technically spelled correctly. My editor flagged it's like multiple donkeys? ? And I was like, oh yeah, that would have been funny. But just those little things like that. It's not that you're doing it intentional. It's just that, there's so many different spellings. The English language is one of the hardest languages to learn.
Yeah, I feel like people just want to complain sometimes.
Yes, that's the truth too. More often than not, people will complain rather than compliment.
Yeah, well, obviously, if you look at social media, like takedowns get way more views than like something positive.
Yes,
Like, hey,
exactly.
we went to Mars. It's like,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah. But this person
Keanu
was
Reeves like ditched this girl at a coffee house. Like, 100 million views.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's human nature. We flock to adversity because it's interesting, you know.
Right. So, all right. Well, thank you very much for being on here. Do you have anything else you want to
No, I think I could talk forever, so eventually.
add?
Thank you so much for having me though.
I've been accused of that by my girl. She does that all the time. But all right, so thank you very much.